Well, I'm Kelsey, a physical therapist.
I'm Angie. I'm the occupational therapist. We're going to talk to you today about slips, trips, and falls and how to prevent them in the outdoors and the indoors.
Especially with wintertime and snow coming this weekend.
Yeah, that's perfect timing.
Yeah. So in the winter, the risk of falls substantially increases, obviously, because of the weather changes. Snow, ice, slippery surfaces. The days are shorter. There's more darkness, so not as good lighting. We just tend to be less active in the winter because you can't get outside, so activity kind of decreases. Some strength also can affect that. And you're wearing more clothes, so that kind of restricts your movement, your normal movement. So there is a higher rates of slips and falls in the winter. So I'll kind of talk about what you can do to prevent things from falling outside. So one big thing you can do is add just some traction to your shoes. The more common one are the one in the middle, the spikeless traction devices. They're called Yak Track, so you can just get them. They pull right over your shoes. They're pretty handy, and they increase your traction outside when you're walking. The ice cleats or the spikes, those are for more like if you're outside hiking in the winter, a little more grip. So those you have to be careful if you're walking on like cement. Those are for more, if you live out in the country and you're walking around gravel, through the snow. And you can also consider using more adaptive equipment in the winter, even if you don't necessarily need to use one inside. You can consider using a walker, walking poles that have more spikes at the bottom that can grip the ice and snow. They also make an ice tip that can go over your cane or your walker. You just have to be careful and make sure you remove it when you come inside. But they do make things like that. So for your canes and things, adding extra traction. So just important reminders when you're using these, take them off when you come inside. Make sure you sit down right away, like have a chair by the door, take them off because they can increase your risk of slipping if you were to wear them inside. Make sure you're checking them to make sure that they're not worn or broken, and make sure they fit properly. So if you go and buy these at the stores, a lot of like outdoor stores will have these Yak Tracks, Dick's Sporting Goods, Dunham's, places like that. They can try them on, make sure they fit. If they're too loose, that can be an issue. And just making sure you're planning your route and where you're going. Try to stay, where you don't see the icy areas.
I think another tip that I had read is if you carry like some of that de-icer or even like cat litter in your purse, like a bag of it, you can kind of throw that out if you see an area that's a little icier or what you think might be slippery on your route, and then that kind of adds the traction.
Yep.
And de-ices it for you.
Yeah, and cat litter is pretty inexpensive, so just adding extra traction to where you're walking. Another tip is when you're walking outside to walk like a penguin. So basically it's trying to minimize your risk of falls. So you're leaning slightly forward. You're just taking small shuffled steps with your feet.
Do you want me to demonstrate?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay. Like this.
Yep. And your toes are out. So you're walking just more flat-footed. If you hit with your heel, it increases your chance of slipping. So if you know you're walking on something slippery, slow down. And arms out, Angie.
Oh, all the way out? Okay.
Yep, keeping your arms, because that increases your balance support. So making sure you're wearing gloves to keep your hands warm.
Yep, so and I'm really kind of like shifting my weight one foot to the next.
And don't rush, and keep your knees slightly bent and flat foot. So just think about a penguin, how they walk on the ice all the time. And then going back to, strengthening and keeping your strength up. If you have questions, obviously you can get an order from your doctor to go to physical therapy, and you can get a specific exercise program, but maintaining major muscle groups. So your hip muscles, your quad muscles on your legs, your calf muscles are major muscle groups of our legs. So things that you can do are sit to stands, step ups, heel raises. A bridge is the one in the top right that works your hip muscles. A clamshell that's laying on your side and lifting your knee up and down, and for core strength, that's just laying on your back and marching your legs up and down, working your core. They just recommend doing that 2 to 3 times a week just to keep your strength up. So if you have questions, obviously ask your doctor or, your providers, a physical therapist if you have one, but just some general ideas on how to maintain your leg strength during the winter.
All right, I'm going to move on to indoor, but before I do that, do you have any specific questions for outdoor? We'll have time at the end too, but.
I have a question. Like, if you get an ice storm, it's hard not to be a victim.
Yeah, so if you don't have to go out when it's very icy, I would avoid it, try not to, and just have someone help you if you are at a fall risk. Don't go out by yourself either, like have someone to help you. But the black ice is hard because you can't see it. So that's why, making sure you're testing where you're walking, having that extra traction like the cat litter to sprinkle on the ice, avoiding carrying a lot of bags, see if someone can help you bring your bags inside because that extra weight can throw off your balance as well. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Some ice fishing, and we wear these cleats that fit over your shoes,
and
they're adjustable sizes. So, they would fit several people in your home.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
They're kind of like rubbery and elastic.
Mm-hmm.
You just fit them right over your shoes.
Yep, those are really nice.
Pretty inexpensive too.
Yeah, you can go on Amazon.
Little spikes in them.
Perfect. Yeah, those are really nice. Yeah, the yak tracks are nice. They're not the spike ones, so those are more for if you're like walking just outdoor, things like that. But definitely ice fishing, having more of the grip is good.
Okay, moving on. So just some general tips to prevent indoor falls is first and foremost, remove any tripping hazards. So making sure your walkways are clear of clutter. If you have throw rugs, we're not a huge, we don't really like throw rugs. If you do have them, make sure they're the non-skid. So what I mean by that is if you put it on the floor, put your foot on it and kind of move your foot back and forth. And if the throw rug moves, that's a pretty high rate that it will slip when you step on it. So if you have one, put your foot on it, make sure it stays in place when you're stepping on it. Managing electrical cords, meaning especially with Christmas decorations up, if you have Christmas trees, things that light up, making sure the cords are tucked against the wall, not within the walkway for you to trip over. Make sure you have good lighting, so night lights in bedrooms, bathroom, hallways. So if you have to get up in the middle of the night, that you have a clear visual pathway of where you're going to go and you can see where your feet are going to go. Installing non-glare light bulbs, so when you do turn on that light, the area is adequately lit up. And then just ensure floors are secure, so if the carpeting is coming up anywhere or there's loose flooring, that can be a tripping hazard. If you have some people in their living rooms, if they have hard floors, they have the big floor rugs, making sure there's double-sided tape under there so they stay in place. And then if anybody has stairs that are hardwood floor, having some of those non-skid strips can help with falls too, preventing falls. I'll kind of go room by room, some of the main areas. So with your bathroom, grab bars, I'm a huge proponent of grab bars in the shower, by the toilet, anywhere where if you're stepping over anything or where there might be water, grab bars are good things to have. A non-skid mat or those like non-skid sticker things in the shower or the bathtub. A shower chair to sit on. Whenever water is involved, there's always an increased risk of falls because of the slipperiness of it. And then making sure your soap and shampoo are within easy reach. So some people will, you have the faucet and the shower head on one side, your shower chair on the other, but they might have their shampoo and soap underneath the shower head. So you'd have to get up, walk if it's a longer shower. So just making sure it's right next to where you're sitting so you aren't having to get up and move in the shower.
What is the tub grab bar like? Is that all the way across the tub or is that just on the side?
Nope, this one right here.
Yeah.
That just sits right on the side. And so then people usually will move it up a little bit right there and then they can hold on to it, step over, and then sit on their shower chair. So yeah, it's pretty handy because some people, if they have a grab bar, like along the back edge,
You have to really
you kind of have to reach.
You have to be in the tub with it.
Right, yeah. So that makes it easier to help as you're getting over the tub, and then you have something in the tub to hold on to as well.
Can I expand on grab bar?
Of course.
So, sorry, I didn't plan on this, but I share info when I know it. So I used to work at Project Home out of Madison, but we work all around the area. And one of the things we did was adaptations for bathrooms and just safety repairs and things like that. So grab bars are, there's a variety of them. There's different lengths. There's short ones. There's long ones. There's good placement for them. The biggest thing about installing them is that they're anchored into something solid. Okay, so usually in the positions you see here, there's like a stud that you can screw right into for that grab bar. Sometimes for the tub surrounds, you don't have a stud or something solid that you can use. So there's basically an anchor called a wing-it. That can actually be anchored on the back side of that, and then you anchor into that, and it can support, I think, 300 pounds or 350 pounds. So just because you have maybe acrylic surrounds does not mean you can't install a grab bar in your shower. Just wanted you guys to know that too. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff related to that, so many different sizes. And the other recommendation we always gave was don't get the shiny ones, get one with a peened finish. It's a little bit easier to grip when your hand's wet.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Kitchen, another place where people can slip, trip, and fall. Making sure you have those items that you use frequently within easy reach, so you're not constantly bending over to get that pan or reaching up to get a glass. Just having it about waist height, shoulder height. If you do need to get up something higher, I'm short. I have a stool that is sturdy. I'm not getting the kitchen chair or a rolling chair. You want it to be sturdy so that you can step up on that to get what you want. Though I do have a husband who's 6'3", so I use him a lot of times too to get me things. Any spills, please make sure you clean those up immediately, especially if you're washing dishes, water can spill out onto the floor. Make sure you clean it up right away so that you don't forget and then slip on it a little later. And then also having a non-skid mat in front of the sink is a good idea. Changing some of your habits. So wearing proper footwear in the house. Some people don't like to wear shoes in the house, which is fine. But if you have hardwood floors, sometimes the regular socks are very slippery on hardwood floors. So considering getting non-skid socks or even having a pair of slippers that have the nice sole on the bottom so you aren't slipping. If you're coming in from the outdoors, having a boot tray, one of those like rubber boot trays that you can put your outdoor shoes on. Because a lot of times what will happen is people will take their shoes off by the door and then the ice and stuff can melt off of them and cause spills on the floor, and people might not be aware of it and you can slip on that. Be cautious when carrying items. As Kelsey mentioned previously, you're carrying in a bunch of groceries, maybe getting help or carrying one bag at a time so you aren't overloaded with groceries and fall. Avoiding distractions. Walking around your house while you're on your phone, that can kind of distract you from your surroundings and might cause you to fall or bump into something. And then using adapted devices. If your doctor or PT is recommending a walker or a cane, making sure that you are using those can help to decrease your risk for falls. And then just get your annual visual or doctor visits for medications, because those can sometimes cause you to affect your balance, things like that. So just making sure you're getting those regular checkups. Any questions about anything?
This isn't a question, but it's an observation. Just by luck this morning, I got an email from Menards of their specials that they had going on, and I saw something that I've never seen before, which was a step stool. It didn't exactly say how high it went, but I'm thinking maybe about 8 inches. But then it had bars that went in front of it and over, and I'd say it was like 30 or 36 inches high. and I was gonna show it to you, but by the time I looked at the email, it was sold out.
Oh, because it
I
has
thought
an
that was a
extra
really good idea,
handle.
because we do have the step stools, when you step on them, but
Yes.
you've got no place
To hang on
Hang
to.
on to, yeah.
And I thought that would be like perfect.
Yes, those are good to have.
So, and I was wondering too, I didn't look, when I saw it was sold out, I didn't pursue it anymore, but I thought if it folded up, it'd even be better.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know that. But
Huh.
you're like $40 on sale for like 10, so I.
That's not
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they'll restock them.
Yeah.
At 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. Okay, so you take the dive, right? You're on the floor. How many different ways are there for an old person to try to get up?
So you want to probably have someone bring a chair over to you, usually. And you want to make sure there's not any like head or neck or spine injuries before you get up. Because if there's like an unstable fracture, you never want to move someone that falls.
You know, you don't want to help somebody up and then find out they're going to fall right back down. But
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
supposedly you're all right and you're on the floor. How would you get up?
the best way is to get onto your hands and knees if you can get into that position. Have someone like bring a chair over to you. So if you're on your hands and knees like this, if you someone brings a chair over to you, you can at least get one or two hands like on the chair,
Yeah.
like this,
Okay.
and then try to stand up. That's the best bet, is to get onto your hands and knees and then stand up like that. Yeah.
Always try to carry a cell phone with you, especially if you're going for a walk outside in the wintertime. Carry your cell phone so that if something were to happen, you have it with you.
I know sometimes even Apple Watches now, you can get like a fall alert somehow sent to people, kind of like the life alert buttons.
Those are good things to have indoors. I guess I don't know if they work out if you're
I'm not
farther
sure.
away from your house. I don't think they do. I think they have to be in a certain range of the home base.
Does that kind of help a little bit?
Yeah.
How to get it? Yeah. Yep. Hands and knees is the best. And then
I don't get up like a normal person now, so I don't know how you would do it if you really took a dive.
yeah.
And that goes back to the ice storm. A few years back, it's ice, and I basically salted everything except by my car. And I stepped on the ice by the car, and next thing I'm looking up at the,
That's
Yeah,
another good point, is when you're getting out of the car, making sure you
kind of
first touch down, go again, kind of slide your foot to see if it's slippery, and holding on to the door handles. Because I've almost fallen a couple times getting out of the car just because I didn't use my own advice and test it out and almost went down.
Yeah, and that's where
And
you
when
could.
you go down, and you usually end up farther from the car
Yeah.
than you started, and you're crawling to the car to grab something.
Yeah, and keep some of the salt and sand or like cat litter in your car.
Yep, that's a good
Sprinkle it
idea.
before you get out too, and make sure.
Kelsey, could you demonstrate the getting up again?
Oh, sure. So if you fall, sorry, I don't want to drop this little guy Fit in my pocket here. So if you fall down, which hopefully you don't, you want to try to roll over and get onto your hands and knees if you can. Have someone bring like a chair over to you or something like that you can hang on to. So you're on your hands and knees. Put one hand up onto the chair as well and one foot up, second hand up, and then try and bring your other leg up that way.
Oftentimes that chair slips on the floor.
Yeah, so you want to make sure so it doesn't move on you as best as you can.
If somebody can bring you a chair, you can have them brace
hold
it.
on to it so that
If you're alone, maybe
Yeah.
try to crawl to a recliner or a sofa where it's a sturdier piece that you won't be able to push
because
it.
it's pretty hard to get up if you're like laying on your back. It's really hard to
Yeah.
like get up that way. So if you can get onto hands and knees, it's probably the best. And then into that half like lunge position and pushing up. But it does happen.
It does.
But hopefully we can avoid bad injuries. But as we age, our body, like our balance and everything, it weakens just generally as we age. So if you aren't working on your balance and working on your strength, it will decline. But at any age, you can prevent the decline in your balance, but you have to work on it. So if that's something you're concerned with, I would definitely look into like seeing a physical therapist for a couple visits.
We do offer free
We do that.
balance assessments, I think is what we
Like a falls risk.
Yeah, that's what it's called, a
So you
falls
can come
risk.
here, we just do a couple tests to see where you're at and if you would need therapy.
If you've lost part of your balance from a stroke, will that ever come back?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
You know, it can. There's always recovery from strokes. Like it never stops. The first 3 months is like the biggest recovery from your stroke. But you can make gains years after your stroke, but you have to be really dedicated and work on the exercises too. But it also depends on where the stroke was, how large an area it was, things like that. But like I said, as we age, our joint receptors also weaken just like our muscles and our bones do, but you can slow down the decline if you do the exercises a couple times a week.
A couple years ago, I was at my son's house and I was doing some carpentry. And as I was leaving their house, I had a handful of tools like I shouldn't have had. And I missed a step and I fell and I hit my head.
Ooh.
And so I went to the emergency room and they told me that they had to do a brain scan. So.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty common, just to rule out any serious injuries.
That does remind me though, when you're speaking of steps, please have sturdy rails on your steps.
Yes.
Always having something to hang on to as you're doing those will also greatly decrease your risk for falling.
Especially if you can have both, at least one, but both railings is good.
And that is true for indoor steps too, having a railing either to the basement or a second level.
Well, the silver lining of having that brain scan was like 2 years before that I had a stroke. And so then they did the brain scan and they go, everything's clear. You're good to go. So then
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So
Good.
that worked out.
Yeah.
The fall knocked the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Why is it when I was younger and I skied a lot, I'd bounce up? As you get older, it's like a turtle, you can't get up anymore. What is the physical process of,
Well,
what do you lose to have that happen?
Well, you definitely lose like the elasticity of your muscles. Like that declines as you get older. Like your bone tensile strength declines, bone density declines. Your receptors in your joints that like help with your balance, the strength of those also decline. So a lot goes into it.
Isn't it kind of, I sort of think of a rubber band, like, you know, when you get a new rubber band and how stretchy it is, but then as over
we're
time,
old and brittle.
you pull it and doesn't stretch and it breaks. That's sort of what I equate it to in layman's terms.
Yeah. So that's kind of why, just
We were
as you
told
age.
that, by the time you hit 75, you've lost 25% of your muscle mass.
Wow.
I don't know how close that is to right, but
I think it's pretty accurate.
okay.
But you can slow that
Yeah.
decline with exercise. I think there's the kind of a newer push for the older generation to do harder strengthening. You know, they have like elderly CrossFit exercises, which that's not for everybody, but just to show like just because you're aging doesn't mean you're weak. So there's things that you can do.
Yeah. I think you said at the beginning, one of the things was kind of slow down. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, we're all in a hurry. It is.
Make 3 trips to do this.
Yeah.
Do it all in one. And just taking your time, thinking about what you're doing. Because,
Right.
you know, your mind is not up with your body anymore. You think you're 20 still and you can
Yeah.
do these things, you know.
Right.
But you have to take time and think and slow it all down to a pace that you can handle better.
Yes. And focusing, I think, on what you're doing in that moment instead of like what you have to do in the next few moments.
The problem with that is though, the next moment we forgot.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Start over again.
That's fair.
That's our form of exercise. Remember going back to what we were to remember what we were gonna do.
Right.
We got there, so we make a lot of trips.
Yes.
And the other question is, I think I heard somebody, you should actually look at your feet. Normally I never look at my feet, but if you're doing something you're not comfortable with, is to look down.
Watch
instead
where
of-
you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that's fine to do as long as you know you're not going to run into something. But watching your vision helps. It's easier to walk with, looking at your feet. So,
What
And-
tips do you have for using ladders?
Have someone there with you when you're climbing up the ladder, making
hanging
sure
on to it, it's stable.
yeah, it's stable. It's not on uneven ground.
Forget all the OSHA
Remember your
requirements.
age.
You remember your age.
I wouldn't do it on a snowstorm
Yeah.
day, like in the snow. Yeah.
Pretty good about that, make sure the wind isn't real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have a spotter, someone helping you. I wouldn't do it alone. For
No.
sure.
3 points of contact.
That's right. I
Oh,
knew
yeah.
there was something like
We had
that.
to
But I
watch
couldn't
it for
remember.
Elias. Yeah, 2 feet in one hand.
All
Yeah.
right, I have like a couple follow-ups. I'm so sorry about this, but like.
Do you need my microphone?
No, you're good.
Okay.
So since we're talking about in the home stuff,
Our guest star.
sorry, no, because this is exciting. This is good stuff. So first of all, about grab bars, because some people think a lot of them look very ugly and industrial. They have like some really nicely designed and fancy looking grab bars that you can purchase if you want that look, that have the exact same structural integrity and support, offer the same support. So there are options out there for more decorative grab bars if that's something that's holding anybody back from having grab bars installed. Also, you guys brought up steps, and we're talking about steps and entries. So a lot of codes, right, in different municipalities do not require some sort of railing until you get above a certain height. Sometimes that's 30 inches, sometimes it's 36 inches. So there's a lot of entryways that might only have like a 1-step or even a 2-step entry that don't have a handrail because it's not required by code. If you have those, it's a good idea, especially if you're starting to get a little more unstable walking, to just install something. Good thing for you, it doesn't even have to be up to code because there is no code that require anything, but have something that's sturdy there that you can install on those entry places will help you stabilize. We did that for my parents too at their home. Garage entry that was 2 steps that we just went in and out the whole time, never thought of it. And as they aged, that was the spot my mom fell. So we had to make sure that we were taking care of that, preventing that in the future. So those are just some things to be aware of. Those, if you see like entries that don't have anything to hang on to, find a good spot to install a grab bar if you can, or you can kind of create like maybe a side rail out of just lumber and just have something that can balance you a little bit.
Along those same lines, her father used to be a builder and I worked with him for a few years. Whenever we built a house, on the front door, there was no step going from the house down to the porch or to the stoop or whatever. And if you look at modern homes now, I bet 95% of them have a step up to the door.
Yeah.
And I think if they could change one thing, it would be a code that your house floor and that stoop are at the same level. And I don't know why they don't do that just by good practice, but like you just think about kids, like trick or treating and stuff. You're reaching down, or your friends are coming over and you have a storm door and they have to step down and that storm door is going out into the stoop. And I don't know why they don't make that required, but it's just an observation.
Yep, and it's very common, like you said. So definitely a trip area, potential slip area. If there's, you got any water dripping down or be freezing, stuff like that. Those are things to be aware of for sure.
Well, I want to make one other comment about steps.
No, it's fine.
Well, we were building a house for some people, and there's another house that had just gotten completed. And the people came over to our house and they said their kids kept on falling down the stairs. And they couldn't figure out why. So my father-in-law went over there and he measured the steps, and they weren't all at the same height. Steps can only vary 1/4 of an inch from one step to another. This one was like 1.5 inches off. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
Your brain actually develops a pattern as you're going down.
Yeah.
As you go down steps, you break that rhythm, you're gonna fall.
And on the first step or the last step?
Last step.
Huh.
So,
Bottom.
but anyway, that's just
Interesting.
I never knew that you get your brain automatically knows the step pattern. So.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things should be standardized in the majority of homes built after a certain date. But if you live in an older home, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
You could have steps that might all be different. It was kind of like, we got to get from here to here. Here we go. We're working our way down, and we figured it out. Maybe that last step, we were a little too short, or we don't have enough. So you make an adjustment, right? By the time you get to the top or bottom. So those things are really common and things to just be aware of for sure.
And I think like if you contact the ADRC, they have people who can come and like help you install grab bars. They can help connect you with handyman and things like that if you have trouble finding somebody.
Because you guys would know this more, but what are some of the statistics around, a fall at a certain age and what that leads to, or can?
If you hand me that, I think I didn't. Yeah. Sorry, because I can't remember off the top of my head. So there's not like super recent updates, but there was a study in 2018 that showed that falls led to about 3 million emergency visits and about 32,000 deaths in the U.S. And then according to the CDC, more than a third of adults who are 65 and older fall each year. So that's 1 out of 3 over 65. And 20 to 30% of the people that do fall suffer moderate to severe injuries. So fractures, things like that. I think hip fractures in, I don't know what age, but fairly elderly patients, the mortality rate is pretty high for like a femur hip fracture.
Within a year, I think.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly. I didn't put that on here, but those big femur fractures that require surgery, especially if people that have dementia, Alzheimer's, your life expectancy is pretty short after those. So if we can avoid them, that would be good.
Let's prevent. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Those are the
Why
most.
is it so much harder if you're older and you fall that you're not gonna survive very long?
Just age, the comorbidities, going under anesthesia and having surgery, just coming out from that surgery. Some people will have like orthopedic restrictions. This,
I think it's the overall effect on the body and its ability to heal.
Usually they'll surgically repair them, and sometimes that's difficult for people to come back from. So.
We get old enough, they say they won't operate anymore because of our health.
Well, usually, and if it's like an unstable fracture, depending on your code status and your wishes, they will do surgery on that, like an emergency fracture, if it needs to be stabilized. And I know I see a lot of like vestibular deficits. So that's where people, have vertigo and you're dizzy. That's pretty common as well. And some people don't know like physical therapy can treat that. So if you have where you get up from bed and that room spins, that can be treated by physical therapy. So people that have had head injuries, sometimes if you've heard of vertigo where those crystals in your ear can get knocked loose, that can put you at a higher risk for falls if you do have that positional dizziness. And that's something definitely let your doctor, provider know. Therapy can help treat that as well. If you had a stroke, you can have residual vestibular issues from that. Another risk for falls.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, thanks guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Yeah, anytime.